Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with my good friend AJ Aguayo, who, if those of you who don't know, is one of the busiest guys in show business here on the Central Coast. Drummer for some awesome bands like Estrella, Rudians, formerly Pacific Roots, and some others. And amazing story. Would love to know more about how you got started. And we just came off a pretty cool experience together a few weeks back. Got to play Cali Festival together. I know you got a busy summer with both bands coming up, so we don't know how you do it. Plus, you work full time as well, and so you're just one of the guys that everybody loves to play with, collaborate with, because not only are you a great musician, you're also a great guy. And so I'm grateful now to sit down and learn more about kind of your backstory and kind of how you became the drummer that you are today, and of course anything else you might be interested in.
Thank you, Jordan. Wow, what an introduction, man. Yeah, it's balance, dude, and well, I'm sure we'll touch on it, but it's a lot of balance.
Well, I don't know about you, but I got started as a drummer kind of accidentally. I was always just tapping on things, always into music. And then I think I was in junior high school, maybe about 12, 13 years old. And our church said, "Hey, we're starting a youth group band." I was like, "This is my chance." And so they started me off on like bongos and congas. And then pretty quickly they realized, "Hey, this guy might be able to play the drums." So they put sticks in my hands, and it took me a minute to figure out the foot hand coordination. But then I was off to the races. I feel like I was a better drummer at 15 than I am now, but that's how it goes. And so
That's
what was that
yeah.
for you? What was the first time you realized like, "Hey, I'm actually like could do something with this"?
Well, I think it started like rapping along to like 50 Cent and like Get Rich or Die Trying, whatever songs were on the radio at the time. Because I wasn't really ever into like I was into rock, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was like maybe like AC/DC. My dad and with my one of my favorite bands to this day, Led Zeppelin. My dad always played Led Zeppelin, so it's stuff I always heard. But then I got more into it when I was like 14, and it was watching my uncles and his friends. They would always get together on the weekends and just jam. My uncle has his drum set in his family room still to this day. It's just like it's never left the spot. So it was bass. I played bass first. I was 14
That's right.
and um, played bass for a while. Joined a band, and it with my buddy Richie. Shout out to him, man. Still communicate to this day. And the drums came in a little after because my uncle always told me if you're gonna play bass, you got to learn at least a drum beat just so you can syncopate with the drums because
Timing, yeah.
it's important too that the bass and the drums have that kind of communication. So I started playing the drums just to play a beat, but once I played that beat, man, that was it. It was game over from there. So I was just like, you know what? This is it. This is what it's.
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable here, and yeah, that's
I don't know if you grew up playing sports, but I can kind of relate it to like in baseball or in golf when you hit the ball cleanly in the sweet spot. Like that's what pocket feels like, especially as a drummer and now as a bass player too. Like we kind of flip flopped. I started as a drummer, now I'm a bass player. You went the other way around. But that when you are a bass player with a good drummer, oh, it feels great, or vice versa.
well, that's the thing. Like, there's spots when we're playing together
Yeah,
where you'll know when to slide because it's like what I'm gonna hit next. So that's kind of cool. That's why I
yeah,
kind of like playing with you. I'm like, oh, he slides like right when they should like those are
yeah.
so
He plays the bass like a drummer.
exactly. So that probably explains why we're
Yeah,
it's pretty tight. I know from back then. I know
yeah.
you were in and out of play and you were just dabbing on it here and there for shows, but now with Renee's with the Estrella, everything taking off, you're back in full swing.
Yeah, for sure.
And
It was kind of like, you know what? Let's give it a real shot. And because,
mhm.
like you said, we do gigs here and there whenever they ask for them, and we wouldn't really get much time to practice because everyone lives all over the state. But then this year we got more serious, and I think it shows. I think even some of our other friends, shout out to Dub Soldier, he's a good friend of ours, and he did like a vlog, and he was there, and that's one of the comments he made, like walking away from our set was like, "Dang, you could tell these guys like I've been putting in the work, because he's been with us for different shows." And so I got a few of those comments from other musicians. And of course, friends and family were so excited. But from other musicians, that means a lot because they know the work that goes into it.
Oh yeah, and not a lot of people know we only had maybe like four rehearsals for I think it was like total combined, right? Or five at least. I would say no more than five because we had to do that third world show, and then right after that was Cali Roots, and Renee had went on vacation.
Yeah.
So when she came back, we
Yeah.
only had I think two practices to squeeze in. So it was good. I mean, that
Yeah.
Cali Roots set was great. So
Yeah. Well, it's nice when you can lock in, most not everyone knows in the public. People just think, oh, once you know a cover, you just know it forever, right? And as a bass player and a drummer, those are probably maybe one of the easier ones to learn a song because usually we kind of keep it more simplified, or you can kind of wing it a little bit easier as opposed to like the lyrics or maybe the guitar or the piano. But it's another thing when you can really dial in like a solid hour-long set of originals and just really get it dialed in versus having 3 hours worth of covers, which a lot of bands end up playing at bars, right?
mhm.
But so it's funny that you say Led Zeppelin because I also grew up, with a dad that was born in the '60s, or grew up with '60s and '70s music in the
Mhm.
household. And Led Zeppelin, John Bonham is one of my favorite drummers, and one of the reasons why is one, not only did Led Zeppelin kind of pioneer heavy metal, and a lot of people don't talk about that, they were one of the first bands to really play that harder rock,
Yeah,
as opposed to like the
absolutely.
Beatles pop type rock. And but John Bonham is one of the best drummers ever. And also like the way that he plays the groove, and it's also so heavy. I don't know how else to explain it. It was like a heavy foot. And right away, I remember my brother telling me about you when you were playing with Pacific Roots because Booer was a mutual friend. He's like, you got to check out this guy. AJ throws down. And as a drummer, like I first time I heard you, I was like, dang. Because I mean, for certain, musicians, they know, what differentiates certain musicians. Well, it depends on the instrument, I guess. But when you hear a musician that you go, man, he's doing exactly what I would do or better, that's like that compliment, right? When you see somebody like, dang,
Yeah, I
he's as good
appreciate
as
that,
me and
man.
better, that's what I would have done. And but just how you play, just strong, solid, consistent pocket, and you have the skills to get fancy with it, but people don't understand like how powerful that is, especially when you're doing a live show, to have not that soft little jazzy stuff, but that like heavier thumping, like, that's the stuff that the crowd really reacts to. So I can see now that you say you're a Bonham fan because that makes sense. That's kind of how you play a little bit.
Oh yeah, like John Bonham. I mean, he's hearing him. I mean, in the '60s, there wasn't really. I mean, like if you listen to like Cream, like uh, I was just watching documentary Ginger Baker.
Hmm.
He was also like a psycho on the drums, and same with Mitch Mitchell for the Hendrix Experience,
Yep.
But like with Bonham, that was just that's a totally different beast, man. And
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned that they're the pioneers of metal. I mean, I've heard it was damn near like on that verge. You're right.
Maybe not modern metal, but definitely hard rock, like distorted guitar, hard rock. They were early
Oh,
on in that. So maybe
yeah,
not
no,
metal, but
there's no denying that.
yeah,
You're absolutely right. But as for like, I mean, the Beatles when they came out with Helter Skelter, I mean, of course, the recording equipment was a little different,
true.
but yeah, I mean, to my knowledge anyway. But Helter Skelter, that's almost like a hard rock metal song too. Because if my uncle remembers hearing Helter Skelter back when he was a teenager. He's just like, "Whoa, dude! Like this
Yeah.
is my parents are not gonna like this." But yeah, but no, yeah. Back to that
If your parents or
drumming,
your church got mad, it probably was going to be a hit, right?
right? Yeah, so that's drumming, and yeah, John Bonham's one of my heroes. Sorry, I had some orange chicken earlier.
No worries, no
I
worries.
had or Adam Patterson from the Expendables.
Yes, love that
He's
guy.
one of my
Shout out to Adam.
huge shout out to Adam. He's one of my huge inspirations, and I saw him play, and I was like, damn, like that's what drums are for. I feel,
Hmm.
and then Bud Goff from Sublime,
Yep,
he hits
exactly.
those hard too. So it's like I try to have a combination of just three heavy hitters, and that
Well,
style.
yeah, a lot of people are big fans of like Neil Peart or like Rush or different.
Oh yeah, Neil Peart was
I
amazing.
love Stuart Copeland. He's incredible, but a lot of times I feel like those guys do too much. They're like, okay, we get it. You're like incredible. Like you don't always need to do all that extra stuff. Like guitarists that just go crazy sometimes. But with those guys that you mentioned, Bud Guy and the other that you mentioned, it's like
Adam.
Adam, that California punk rock slash reggae style that a lot of the bands that are popular now come from those roots. We just were at Cali Vibes this weekend, and it's like, man, Long Beach, like look at what it's become. And a lot of it started with Bradley. Obviously, he was influenced by, Bob Marley or the Police or whatever else he was influenced by in the punk scene. But you can still hear that. And with all the like roots reggae, that drumming can get crazy. Some of the Wailers, some of the older stuff is crazy. Even seeing Still Pulse this weekend, that guy is still going
They make
incredible.
it they make it look so easy. It's so hard to play roots, by the way, to
It is
anyone.
very hard.
It's easier for me to get more like to do flashy, not flashy, but like fills and punk rock beats into reggae. It's
Yep.
some might think that's difficult, but it's like not really, man. It's pretty easy. But
It's kind of constant. Yeah.
to stay in the pattern and to touch on like the whole sports thing, like I played sports, but it's when you're in the zone, and we translate it in the musician world as a pocket.
Yeah.
So once you're in so when you're in the pocket for roots, like that's all you need. You don't need to be flashy. You don't. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, those guys can get down,
Yeah.
but it's just there's no reason to unless the song calls for it.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
yeah.
grew up. I was fortunate as well when I was younger. I grew up in church and was around music in that way. That was great. And then I also had my aunt married a guy, so my uncle through marriage, he was a really great drummer, and he was more of the grunge era. Like he was like '90s alternative was more his style.
Mhm.
And but just having a drum set around was really cool, and he kind of exposed us to it. And except he was left-handed, so that made it a little bit challenging. But I
Yeah.
remember it was like Fourth of July one year, and his band was playing, and they were taking a break, and all of a sudden I kind of snuck up there. I think I was like in eighth grade or ninth grade, snuck up there, and I played right-handed on a left-handed drum set. And I was just like playing along with the radio, not really paying attention or like trying to perform, but just like, oh my God, there's a drum set. This is my chance. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I was just like jamming out to Superstition by Stevie Wonder. And everyone was like, dude, what the heck? And it was just, it was nice to feel. I don't know if you remember the first time playing a really nice drum set, and you're like, oh, all of a
This
sudden
sounds
you
good. This sounds
sounded better.
better.
Like, whoa,
Yeah.
it feels better. It's
A
not
properly tuned kit. Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. It's like,
So
yeah.
he gave me one of his hand-me-down kits and told my dad, hey man, your kids got something, like you should pursue that. So fortunately, our dad built a little corner in the garage, and Cam and I, that's where we got started. And Cam's almost 5 years younger than me, so there was a bit of a difference. But when I was in high school, he was in junior high. It's kind of when we both got started, and we just had a little shitty old drum set in the back corner of the garage, and I would put on the headphones and just play with the radio or play with whatever CD I had, and that's how we got started until we could
Dude,
play along with everything.
yeah, the first set my mom bought me was it was a China made Ludwig, and it
Yeah,
was a starting birch kit, dude. But
yeah,
that kit I ended up using for Pack Roots shows for a
yeah.
while, and then a hand me down that I got was from Adam, actually from the Expendables.
Awesome.
He saw the kit I was using. He asked me if I had another one. I said not really, and he said that if I ever hit to let him know before I ever go on a tour
Yeah.
and then he'll hook me up with his kit that he doesn't use anymore, which
Mm,
was his first kit with the when the Expendables started touring. So
that's awesome.
I still have it. It's in the back room. I've
Dude,
hit him
that's
up
a
a
piece
couple
of
times,
history.
and the first time we ever like really hit the road was I think it was with them like when we went out of
Yeah.
state. So he I had that kit already by then, and I had it
That was with
broken
Pack
in.
Roots, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I had it broken in, and it was already, I had swapped the heads. He helped me with everything. And
Shout out to all the people along the way. There's anytime you have an interest, whether it's sports or academics or art or music, um, you're going to get inspired, but you're also going to have a lot of haters, and you're going to have a lot of doubters, and you're going
oh,
to
yeah.
have people that maybe you know don't understand or are annoyed by it, or for whatever reason they're not supportive. But then we all have those people in our lives, whether it's at church or school, a teacher or a youth leader or someone else, another musician who gives you that, or a parent who takes you to practice or buys you your first instrument. Or I remember my parents get me a guitar for Christmas, and I was like, what do I do with this? Like, I don't play the guitar, but
Yeah.
figured it out. I got a chord book and figured out a couple of chords, and it was like, off to the races from there. And because of that, then my brother picked it up, and then here we are. So it's those things that you don't realize. Anybody who's listening, whether you're a parent or whether you're a teacher, like, and you have an opportunity to support someone, you never know who you're going to inspire. You never know who is watching or who you could give an opportunity. So every chance I get to teach a kid something or encourage them in music or sports, I take it, because I was that kid.
Same. I mean, I do my best. Like my cousin Tyson was playing drums for a little bit. Whenever I'd go over here and there, like he was learning to play Nirvana songs, and I was on the bass, and I was like, I can play some on bass. So we were doing like
Yeah,
trying to do like Love Buzz or Lithium and stuff, and
yeah,
it's fun, man. It's fun to see kids do it because like for me to know how much it's changed my life and I for sure steered me in a better direction. Not that I was going down like a bad path or anything, but like it helped me figure a lot of things out in my life for
totally.
sure. And so when I see kids interested and the only thing I just tell them is just to have patience, but it pays off. And even if you don't do it professionally, like even as a hobby, it's so therapeutic, man. I mean,
Yes, yes,
anything in like even me when I play video games, it's therapeutic, even though you
right.
might hear me say stuff like "damn it" or "shit," like I keep dying, but like it's still therapeutic,
Just
and
like golf, right?
golf, shoot, I
Yeah.
haven't played in years, but yeah, it's great when I
Well, and
see.
the beautiful thing about learning to play music or to paint or whatever, the beautiful thing about the arts is that they can be with you for life.
Yeah,
Whereas sports, I feel like if you're going to play sports, like you have a window of time, right, to play sports seriously. After a certain age, it's harder and harder to play sports because of injury or because of just safety or whatever the reason is. Like, athletes don't last as long as musicians if you
and if
do
they
it
do
right.
last as long, then you see they end up being coaches essentially.
Right,
They
right, right.
eventually become a coach. It's which the beauty of playing music is you can both coach and still learn. You're always
Exactly.
learning. You're always
Exactly.
learning with music.
And
And
even if you don't want to do it professionally and tour, you can enjoy it at home, right? I mean, I know you're probably the same way. It's like you get a chance to just jam on your own. Like you'll do, yeah, I've been lost for hours just messing around on certain things. It's hard as a drummer because it's really, really loud.
yeah.
But as on the guitar, the piano, you can mess around and it's a great way to make friends. And it's just opened a lot of doors. Um, what are some of the things once you played in high school, you started to develop those skills. At what point did you get kind of serious? Like, I'm going to be in some bands. And did you transition from bass to drums and kind of get more serious?
Yeah, so I was 14, 12 and then it was actually around that first time I went to my first show, which was the Fishbone at DNA Lounge. I was
Nice.
I was 14, so it was on the same age I started playing bass, and
Wow.
I was like, hell yeah, like Fishbone, these guys are sick. And I just picked up the bass, started trying to play some Fishbone songs, and did the basics, and then joined a band. I think at like 15, with my buddy Richie and Johnny and Chris. We were they were called I could say we were called Three Way. Uh,
But it was four of you.
it was normally three, but then there was four of us, and we still kept the name Three Way
I
just
like
just
it.
just to keep it. Yeah, three way with four guys. Like, how does that work? And we did like Rage Against the Machine style stuff. It was fun, man. It was a great
Yeah.
learning experience. Learned a lot, and then drums didn't really start until Richie kind of wanted it. My buddy Rich, the drummer at the time, was like, I kind of want to do reggae stuff, and he's like, do you want to play drums? And I was like, yeah, I've been dabbling. He saw me play drums a couple times at his place, and we started playing reggae, a lot of reggae stuff, and then like I was listening to a lot of 311 and Pepper at the time,
Yeah. Yep.
and Chad Sexton, man, that guy's a great drummer, and I would
The
always,
best hi hat in the game.
oh yeah, there's still a video of me like us
I'm
recording.
sorry, the best snare tuning in the
Oh,
game.
yeah, that thing's tuned to the moon, man. That thing's
Yeah.
insane. And then it started from there with Richie, and then he always just let me use his kit because I didn't really have access to one. I didn't have one at the time.
Yeah.
So then we formed Citizens Dub. It was the same members of Three Way minus the singer, and it was just an instrument swap. And we did some shows. It was pretty cool, and that's when I found out playing with Citizens Dub was when I was like, okay, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Like I want to do this, and then of like 16 or 17 or some like around there, I moved to Watsonville, and I was on, and I was still going up to Newark, which is where the band was from, Newark, California.
Oh, dang. I'm born in Fremont.
Yeah, it was
My
all way
mom's
up
from
there.
Newark.
My
That's
dad,
crazy.
yeah, my dad lived out there. So, and Rich
Oh,
was just
nice.
like, he was at directly across the street. Like, he opened the front door and there's his house. Like, that's the beauty of it. And Johnny was
Nice.
right next door, the fence over.
Garage band. That's how the best ones get started.
That's what we did, bro. And there's videos
In
somewhere. I don't
Silicon
know.
Valley.
Richie has them somewhere, but
Yeah, it's awesome.
he's got those videos. And then after his Citizens Dub, I kind of stopped going up for a little bit. And then after high school, I started working at the boardwalk. And then I was like, I want to try to start something here because I saw an
Mhm.
Expendable show. It was the first show I saw.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to start a band like that.
Yep.
And it was at that point I was already listening to a lot of Sublime. Rich, my buddy Richie, again, I mean, he might come up a few times in this, but he showed me a lot of Sublime, a lot of their bootleg, albums that people put together of all these like unreleased songs. And those are
So
my
many.
my
Yeah.
opinion. Those are my favorite ones because you could really hear Bradley like
Yeah.
exercise and try to figure things out. But anyway, I
Cam
was
was
like, I want to
super into
start
all that stuff back then. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, I want to start a band like that. So then I got inspired from the Expendables to start Pacific Roots. And then, yeah, after Pacific Roots, it was, I think it was in 2013 of August, if I can remember correctly, or
Dang, that long
October.
ago?
Yeah.
Oh
I
wow.
was I was 18 or 19. I forget how old I was. But I
That's
mean, we were
crazy.
jamming earlier that year because Carlos and I worked at the boardwalk.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
and then we didn't start taking it a little more serious until the boardwalk started slowing down because we were always working.
Well, I
And
gotta have Adam on at some point, but
yeah,
I spoke with Jeff already, and I reiterated to them how much, they're so humble, but how much they influenced this whole scene and how much it wouldn't really, especially locally, right? Especially in the
yeah.
831. They were really just pioneers. I mean, after, there was Sublime, obviously, but then that next wave of like Slightly Stupid and Pepper and Expendables. And then after that, it was like Revolution and Iration and The Green. But that Expendables, because they stayed true to that punk, metal, reggae combination, which is essentially very much the Santa Cruz sound.
Mhm.
And they took it all over the world. But then, of course, here back home, a lot of us were inspired by that. Listen to them in high school. A lot of people have their story of like, smoke my verse bowl to bowl for two, or like,
Right,
that's
right.
my wedding song, or that's what made me want to play the drums or whatever, or the guitar, whatever the case may be. And people had that sticker on their guitar case, or, whatever it was, or skated to it, or,
Oh
and so
yeah.
we had a good talk about that. So like, I love it. Yeah. Talk about how the Expendables and Pacific Roots like kind of got together, and some of the things you guys did together.
So how we hooked up was one day, I think it was actually we had recorded a song with some dude out of Watsonville. I forget his name, but he like records metal bands.
Oh,
and
nice.
and so that first Surf City, the one that's on the album now, is not the one that we recorded first. It was triggered. The drums were all triggered, so it sounds like a metal kit, and it's not matching the song at all. I'll send it to you after this.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I met Adam. I tweeted him actually back when it was
Nice.
Twitter, and I hit him up. He had tweeted because I followed him I still follow him, but
Yeah.
he said, "Who wants to jam? Or does anybody want to jam?" And I was just figuring, I was like, "Oh, good way to interact with the fans."
Yeah.
So I hit him up. I was like, "Let me know where, dude. I'll buy the beer." And
Yeah.
then I think he responded whatever. We ended up messaging each other on direct messaging each other on Twitter.
Slid in the DMs.
I slid in his DMs. I'll say I slid into his DMs because
That's awesome.
uh,
Yep. Yep. That's
and
how it's
I
done.
told him, I was like, "Dude, I got this. I'm in a band. We're in transition of like getting another bass player, and we're this is what we recorded." And I showed it to him, and he goes, how would you react, or what did he say? He said, what if I told you I could record you and make you sound better for way cheaper? Because I told him how much we paid, and he was
Mm.
like, I can do at least 3 songs with how much you paid, and you sound way better. So I was like,
Wow.
deal, you know,
Count us in.
a deal. So then after that, that's where that relationship and that friendship started. He took us in and kind of gave us some pointers. We did the West Side EP with him, which is not on streaming platforms anymore. It was taken down on from SoundCloud. Some people still have CDs though. We made CDs. They're out there
Dope.
somewhere. But it's
Dope.
called the West Side EP, and you could see where we were going. I loved it. I think it's probably still like one of my proudest achievements because it was my first time recording an EP that I didn't write. Carlos wrote the songs, and I just kind of like was like, hey, how about this? How about this? But
Yeah.
Carlos 100% wrote all those songs, and it was like my proudest achievement because it's like, I went to go look for a band and started a band and we put this out. Like, this is great.
Yep.
And after that,
It's a
yeah.
great feeling. I remember the first time I heard myself recorded was on a cassette tape. That's how old I am. And it was really cool. I think we just like hit the tape recorder in my buddy's garage and we're just jamming. But it was like to hear yourself recorded was like, oh my God,
It's like crazy, but then you're like, oh my God, turn it off,
yeah, yeah. Only you can hear your flaws, right? But I remember we got the chance a few years later. So Pacific Roots was taken off. You guys, and then you did a tour with Expendables, right?
Yeah, we had to put our yeah, once, and then we got the we got Jake and Jose in the band, and when they joined, it was really starting to take off from there.
Yeah,
And then yeah, we did all these shows, jumped on some shows with other bands. Like, I think we played with Supervillains. We did all this, and Supervillains and Expendables are like really tight.
yeah.
Um
How did
and we
how did it feel from working the boardwalk to playing with Expendables, playing the Catalyst, going on tour? Like
It was fun. Still working the boardwalk when we were playing all those shows. So
that's awesome.
Carlos and I would get back at like 1, 2 in the morning to go open at 7. So we're just like, ugh. But it was fun. It was great, and yeah, we decided. Yeah, and then the Expendables took us on our first like out of state uh little mini run.
Yeah,
It was a weekend warrior thing,
yeah.
and that was all an experience all in its own, man. Another state. I've never been to another state other than Phoenix, so I was like, it was all new territory to
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
And just, the people, the vibe, like, like thinking like, wow, like, earth the earth really looks like this in places, like, it's just crazy because
yeah,
I
yeah,
growing up in the east side of Salinas, you don't really get out much.
yeah.
Well, not unless you grow up and start working, or if you're
Right,
a migrant family and you're traveling, but just for work. But
right. Different
um,
environments. Yeah.
yeah, so it was dope. And then they took us on another run. Um, I forget which run it was. It was like with oh, it was oh fuck, what kind of run? I think it was like part of their. I think it was an album celebration that they did, and they had us on for like
Hmm.
I believe it was like about a few dates or something like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And then I did another run with them. It was a little after I had left Pack Roots. Because I still love those guys to this day. They're my boys,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
if they ever needed help, or if it works with my schedule, I'm there, 100%.
yeah. Totally.
So I did these 3 shows with them, and that was just recently, like maybe a year or two ago, like about a year ago. And they're always just so fun, dude. And I
Yeah.
just it's a learning experience. And I mean, from touring with them, we got to, it led into touring with Tomorrow's Bad Seeds.
Oh yeah,
Shout out to Moy, man. Moy
yeah.
took a
Moy.
chance on us, and he dug us when we played with them at
He
the
doesn't get
Atrium.
enough credit, in the Cali Root scene. They were one of the biggest bands in the early days.
Dude, the first time I heard of them, they were playing a show with Expendables.
Hmm.
It was a Thanksgiving show, and I was my first time ever seeing Tomorrow's
Hmm.
Bad Seeds. I was like, these guys are gonna be fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like, and I followed him ever since. And same thing with Moy. I just kind of, we got a hold of him somehow, and we said, hey man, we'd like to hop on the tour. And Moy's like, all right, but if you guys are cool with opening and blah blah
Yeah.
blah, whatever.
Well, I think mutual, there's a lot of big egos when it comes to music and money and the stuff that happens. But at the same time, if you genuinely enjoy music and you work hard and you stay humble and you're just like, get along with people, you can go far and you can open a lot of doors. I mean, I got the chance. I know we just played Cali Roots 2 weeks ago. Got the chance this weekend to attend Cali Vibes, which has grown significantly since the last time I went there.
Yeah.
And it was cool to just walk around and run into friends and nothing crazy. Just like, it's like, man, we've all been doing this a long time. Like I was on tour. I drove tour bus for Stick Figure in 2014, and they were the opening band for 3 other bands, and there'd be hardly any people there to see them. And now they're
They're huge.
headlining Cali Vibes to
Huge. Huge.
however many packed, and it was just like I'm so proud of them. And Hyrie or whoever the people that we've known and seen for all these years coming up, and because when we started working with Expendables, they were already kind of established. But some of these other artists now, we've watched them grow from just getting started to where they're at now, which has been really cool to be a part of all that.
And to be in that time period in my what do they call it, my tenure with Pacific Roots,
Yeah,
from starting in 2013 up until 2021, 2021, I think, whenever
yeah,
we put out our latest the latest album.
yeah, yeah,
It was fun, man. I learned a lot, made so many connections, and still around to this day, those connections I still keep in touch with, and
yeah,
have already played with the shows with them.
yeah,
Now, like, as like playing with Rudians and with you guys.
yeah.
Um, so yeah,
So
it's been
around
great, man.
21, around 21 was the time I think we started working together, maybe 2019, 2020. But you were always doing double duty because you were in one band and playing with another. And we appreciate you playing with us because we're like, man, this guy's good. And I was playing
Oh, dude, I
drums.
love it.
I was playing drums in the beginning, and Cam plays drums also, but we had some other bass players. But it was pretty clear, like, okay, well, it was me and Cam who were kind of the consistent ones, and then we would borrow people like yourself and Bill with other bands, or Alex, or whoever, Chris, whoever we could get. But then I remember Renee came back from Hawaii, and it was like, okay, I want to record this EP. Let's get serious. And so we all got in the studio with Silver, and we got to record a couple songs with Renee that were great. And that was a really great experience to be in the studio with you and come out. I think, what did we do together? We did Paradise Isolation and Feelings together
Yeah,
for the
I
EP.
think there was 2 or 3 songs, but that was a fun time, man.
Yeah,
Because I had Silver. I think, I don't know, somebody had told me about it, or Booer. It might have been Booer. And
yeah,
then I was like, dang, like, I could. This girl's good, man. Like, she's got
yeah,
potential.
yep,
And from what we did that day in Silver Studio, shout out to Silver, man.
yeah.
Love that
Shout out
guy.
to Silver Alaman,
And
the man.
so what is it? Silver Studios.
Yep,
Um, from now and to now, like when we did
yeah,
Cali Roots, there's a big difference in everybody, dude.
yeah, yeah,
And I could not have been more happier and stoked to be there, and for her to even consider me, because I know, like, like Alex, another good one of our buddies,
yep, yep,
plays drums, Rise Up, and I mean, she knew, like, maybe like 4 or 5 other good drummers,
yeah,
and all drummers I respect, and
yeah,
she hit me up, so I was really honored, and
yeah.
like I said, out of 5 options,
Well,
so I was like, hey, I'm down. I mean, if it
yeah.
works out, if it works, let's do it, and it worked
It
perfectly.
worked
So
out, and it's funny because when we play those specific songs, it's different because we were the ones that recorded them too. So when we listen back to them, it's like, oh, it's the same. It's the same musicians. We can just like
yeah,
we know it pretty well. We
tweaked a
tweak it a
little
little
bit
bit.
for a
Yeah,
live performance,
yeah,
but I mean, it just felt great, and
yeah,
it just felt normal,
totally.
and it felt almost just natural, man. It was great. It was
So
so great.
we came back together. We've done some things here and there over the years, but we came
Yeah.
back together. I know Rudians had played with a different version of the Rudians. They had played a year or two ago, Cali Roots,
It
and
was
I think
it was the year before I joined.
okay. So then
Yeah.
I think a year later is when you kind of became a free agent and then had the opportunity to work with them. And then also Renee reached out, and it just kind of worked out because I think they were busier. They have more frequent shows.
Yeah.
But I knew Renee had the idea that we were going to be doing this year was going to be a big year. And so once that band kind of lined up, it was exciting to see it assemble. Obviously, we got Bruno and Connor as well, and it just kind of came together in a really awesome way. And so even though we didn't have maybe as many practices as we had wanted, it's more than we ever had done before, and it really felt good. We really felt confident going into the shows that we've had so far in 2025 because we knew that we put in the work over the years, and then
Mhm.
in this year we put in the rehearsal time, and so it just felt really good. I'm excited for the shows that we have lined up over the summer and the fall because it's just like we're just feeling ready. So you didn't get the chance to play with the Rudians because they had played the year before, but even though you've been touring with them again and playing shows with them, so when the
Mhm.
opportunity kind of came to come back and play with us, and then knowing that you were going to be playing Cali Roots, like I didn't realize you hadn't even attended it. So how was it for you to prep for it, to play it, and you had never even attended, let alone played it? That your first time attending Cali Roots was to be playing on the Cali Roots stage.
Well, I'll start with this, dude. And I was telling Booer the other day, or I
Shout
was
out
not
to
the
Boer.
and I was like, what's funny, man, is you know, I when I left the band, I was really sad to do that, to leave
Yeah.
Pack Roots. But it was a good decision. It was, everybody understood. We were all, like I said, we all love each other, and
Yeah.
they were so supportive, man.
Yeah. It happens. Yeah.
Those guys were there for me for anything, and me them,
Yeah.
so they ended up playing the Sugar Shack stage. I think it was later that year, and then I was looking at my phone. I was like, shit.
Yeah.
No, but I was happy for him. But I was like,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, but you know what? I'm still feeling good. Like I'm happy for them,
Yep.
100% happy.
Yep.
And but in my back of my mind, I was like, that would have been sick.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
least they got there, because I mean, all those guys are still fucking amazing
Yeah.
musicians.
Right.
And then I joined the Rudians, and it was after that Cali Roots set. I think they had another few shows, and then they were going through a drummer swap, and then that's when I had joined them. So I was like, I just missed my window, which was
Oh
fine,
for two. Third time's the charm.
but I was like, hey, to be associated with, to even be considered again, is a big
Yes.
deal. They hit me up, and
Yeah.
wanted, and I was already like, I took a year and a half off or two from being fully committed. So then joining these guys, and I always like to do other shows if it fits with our schedule, right? With the band I'm committing to
Right.
schedule. And when you guys hit me up to do the shows in Cali Roots, I saw the announcement first, and I was like, fuck yeah, like I'm glad, because
Yeah.
like she's good, and
Yeah.
you and Cam, and whoever you guys were else were gonna have play, I was like, they deserve it. They're
Yeah.
gonna do it right. And then like she hit me up like, I think a month or two the before the festival, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna miss this one.
Yeah. Book it.
And I just felt like it was I feel like it was well deserved.
Yeah.
I tried so hard to make things happen, and I spent all my 20s in Pacific Roots, dude, damn near.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of stuff, don't get me wrong. I'm so happy with all the stuff we accomplished, the tours, the artists we've met, the people we've built connections with, and that are
Yeah.
friends with to this day.
Yep.
But like playing Cali Roots is just a dream come true, and like my biggest achievement. And I could honestly and proudly say, other than playing the Half Moon Bay, there was like a festival we did with Pack Roots, and that was a day show. Besides that being one of the best shows I ever played, it was Cali Roots.
Yeah.
100%, one hundred
Yeah.
percent Cali Roots, dude. And I was like, it was just surreal, dude. I don't even haven't even it hasn't even really sunk in yet, to be honest with you, man. Like
Yeah.
it just felt like another gig, but like it's different because this is people come in from all over the world for this.
Yeah, yeah. It was
And
surreal. It was surreal for me for a lot of reasons, but one of them, I used to be part of the production team for years, and so been on those stages, but as a part of the team, not as a musician. And so it was kind of weird to not want to like grab chords and tape and start helping set up. Oh wait, I'm performing.
you almost went into autopilot,
I almost
man.
wanted to, yeah, autopilot.
Yeah.
But same thing. It felt like, wow, this is a culmination of a lot of work. On one hand, it felt like, oh, kind of like nerve wracking. On the other hand, it was like, no, this is where we're supposed to be. Like, no big deal. Let's do this. Let's do this. And that was so. Once we started, it was like, let's do this, and it felt great. And everyone after was like, wow, how did it feel? And it was like, felt right. Felt like, yeah, this is like the natural progression, and it felt like we belonged. I think for me that was the biggest thing. I knew that Renee had the talent since we've been working together since I think she was in high school when we did our first show together. Her and I had some church thing, and we just stayed friends over the past 15 years, and have collaborated that whole time. And I always knew she had the talent, but when she really got serious about songwriting, and as a musician, like you can have and this is with a lot of the guy bands, it happens this way. It's hard to find a really good singer, and it's hard to find a really good songwriter. It's easy to put together a band that can jam, but to find a good singer and a good songwriter, that is very rare.
I will say this. I want to add a note to the singer. I feel singers, you could find them, but to find one that is as humble and that has such a great attitude about everything that she does,
Yeah.
that's rare, because
Yes.
she could totally just take control. It's Estrella. She could totally take control if she wanted and say, I want this, but she lets her musicians
Yeah.
also chime in.
Yep.
and not a lot of people do that. And if you're a lead singer, some lead singers don't do all the writing, but
Right.
she when she wrote the music, there was some changes to the record when we were rehearsing for the live set,
Hmm.
and she was so supportive. And some of them might have been mess ups, but she's like, I like that,
Yeah.
run with it. But yeah, she has such a great attitude, and she's so humble. And I
Well, it's
mean,
been great, having you and Bruno and Connor, because it's forced all of us. I mean, she's always had that raw talent, but it's forced all of us, and Cam as well, and myself, to really like step our game up. And
yeah,
so it's been good. I'm excited to see where it goes. And I know we played Mose Alley with Third World, which was really cool.
that was fun.
And we got to play Mountain Views Festival, which was also really cool. Other than the fact
Oh,
that
I
it
forgot about
rained
that.
all
Yeah, that
day,
was
and
good.
we
We
were.
got rained on, but
Dude, tell them about the performance. Tell them about that day. Tell the audience about what happened that day and how we got through it. And you had to play twice, and you had to get there early. Anyway, you tell the story.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, getting there early is not important, not anymore anyway, because it was supposed to be sound. Shout out to Marco though, I love him.
Yes,
He
yes,
got told last minute too, so he was on the
yeah.
shitter with us.
Him and his lady, and they have a great team, and it's a great venue.
Oh, it was great,
Just
great, great
random weather
times.
one day.
Anyway, yeah, we got rained out, and the show got delayed. And then we were setting up. We got rained out again sometime later as we were setting up, and we had to wait another hour almost.
Yeah,
And then we played, and then I think after we played, the sun came out.
yeah. You're
So
welcome, everyone.
it was all chaos up until we played. And
Yeah,
right after we played, the sun came out.
yeah,
People were having drinks, smoking. It was just
yeah.
like, it was crazy.
Well, the stage was still wet, which is very dangerous with all the electronics, right? So then, all of a sudden, you didn't have your proper carpet or whatever. Everyone's stuff's getting rained on,
Oh, my kick
and
drum
then
kept
your kick
moving.
drum kept moving, so you're
Yeah.
like sliding forward, and because you do play heavy footed,
I
so
had to flag
I
you
had
down.
like I had turned around and I put one foot on your bass drum and was like trying to hold it. So then they came and put bricks, and it was a whole shit show. And then I left not too long after that, and I got to watch the Rudian set on the live stream. Someone was live streaming it on Instagram, and I thought, damn, they're killing it. The rain finally
Oh,
stopped, and they're like probably more comfortable. But you're right. I think we had to go take one for the team and play in right after the rain, and then everything was kind of good after that. But that was a great venue, great
oh
team.
yeah, my kick pedal broke that day. So, well, it
Oh,
didn't break, but the beater snapped. It completely just like
yeah.
so. But
I just gave up one of my guitar chords. Like I'm like, oh, this thing is covered in mud and wet. Like it's not going to be good. So it happens. It's like rock star shit, right?
yeah, but that's one of those things where it's like we go through those times, we go through those moments, and it
Totally.
and it like prepares us. Not only prepares us, but
Yeah.
we just it's the beauty of this lifestyle,
It's like, how do you handle adversity, right? Like, what's your demeanor? And because shit's going to happen, like you said, things break, things don't work.
Things
Um,
get rained on.
things get
So
rained on. People get, things happen with your car, with your instruments, whatever, right? And so you just got
yeah,
to roll with the punches. But I'm super excited to play Ukiah with you. Downtown
oh,
Ukiah, they do
that's
this
gonna be fun.
awesome free concert series in the summer. This past weekend was our friends Top Shelf and Expendables, and I have friends who live in Ukiah, Mendocino County. Shout out to them. And that whole class, the high school class, graduated and then went to the concert.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so a lot of friends, I saw it all on social media. This looks so epic. But we're going to be playing with Big Mountain, who's just
Yep.
a legendary band from the early '90s, and I'm super excited to be playing with them, not only in Ukiah but also at Mose Alley. We also have some other things coming up that we haven't announced yet. So, what are you excited about for the rest of this year? Playing with Estrella and the Rudians.
So for the Rudians, I'll start with the Rudians. So we have been writing music, and
Nice.
it's sounding really good. If we had the member change, so we were adjusting to that for a little bit, and we changed a whole new a rehearsal spot. So trying to get everything acclimated, the sounding get right, and
Yeah, yeah.
but we got through those changes pretty quick, and we got to writing the music even quicker, man, and it's sounding really good.
Awesome.
Our little Google Drive files are filled with just
Nice.
1 minute, minute and a half, just rhythms or just
Little
ideas.
ideas.
But,
Yep.
but like we're already turning them into songs one by one, turning them out. So
Love that.
We're excited. We're doing shows here and there. I think the next one is on the 20th of this. I think it's the 20th for Steven's birthday coming up.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that one.
It's going to be in King City. So we got some shows coming up, but we're not
Nice.
doing anything too crazy or like extensive. Just because we want to work on music, and we already went into the studio and recorded a couple songs. Well, drums anyway. We tracked drums, and then
Nice.
the guys are going to be touching up on their stuff here.
Well, I played with Tone in Pacific Ground back in the day, and
Oh
it's cool to
yeah.
see the different. It's all kind of one family, and I love the scene. It, I talked about it with Andrew from Cali Nation about some of the guys like Wasted Noise and some of the other ones like Dub Congress that really pioneered the local scene. And that some of them are still going, some of them are not. But we're just grateful to all of those that pioneered that local scene because reggae wasn't always really that popular here in this area. In Santa Cruz, yeah, but not so much in Salinas, as far as like local shows. But
Right.
places like Casa Sereno and Fox Theater and other places, what was it, XL Public House, the Underground, like different things here in town that really embraced it. And so I'm excited to see where it goes because there's about 5 or 6 really good local bands, probably more, but there's some really good just Salinas area bands
Yeah,
coming up
and we
right
were
now.
not to drag my answer on, but
No, you're
um,
good.
I was just telling you that the other day, and you're like, save it for the pod.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, there's so much talent in the Central Coast, man. Like the
Yes.
people I know that play music, and it's like these are people who can, if they were get discovered by someone, they're like, hey, we need you for our style. Like there's like 5 people I can name offhand right now. Don't tell me to do it. I won't. Um, I gotta think about it, but I'm telling you, but I will, and I could get 5 people. I'm like, oh, these guys, this guy can play for this band, and they're so good. Like
Totally,
right now,
totally.
I'll just give one example. Booer, shout out to him again. He's
Oh yeah.
with Fortunate Youth guitar teching, but he's been filling in on shows
Yep,
for
yep. I
Fortunate
saw him.
Youth.
I saw him
So
on Sunday down in Long Beach. Yep,
to
yep.
see him do stuff like that is inspiring because it lets me know that like, hey, anybody from here can do it,
Yes.
But yeah, so back to the whole the Rudians thing. Yeah, we just got some one-offs coming up, but
Yeah.
music is our priority,
Yeah.
this year, and I think maybe sometime into early next year. But by the time it's early next year, we should already have almost an album done.
Awesome.
And then with Estrella, shoot, I mean, whatever we're gonna do, we're gonna get into. The
Yep.
shows are happening. The set list is forming, and at the rate that the shows are happening and the set list is forming, I'm actually really, and I'll be honest, I'm like surprised with the work that's been done and how fast we learn things and how fast things get set. And like I personally like worry a lot when it comes to shows because I'm like, oh, is this gonna work? Is this gonna work? But the only way
Right.
to do it is to play, and it just happens, and it's just like that's it. And I'm like, dude, all
Yeah.
that stress and worry
Yeah.
just for it
Well,
to
it's
happen,
it's
and it
it's
was
natural. Yeah.
flawless. But no, it's
Yeah.
just great. I mean, whatever the rolling with the punches on this one, and so far it's
Yeah.
been really good. So we got some shows coming up.
I agree. Well,
I
that's what
think
I
she's writing, right? I'm pretty
yeah,
sure she's writing.
she's writing and going to be recording, and some will record as a full band, some should record on her own because she's got some really good producers
Hit me up if you
like
need a drummer.
yeah, yeah, like Micah Brown from Iration that did it completely all on his own, like so just kind of her vocals, and then he kind of does
Yeah,
everything
yeah, he
else.
did that
So
one for
she'll
her.
do some of those, and then she'll do some full bands and recording live. I want to record our live sets too. I think the live stream from Cali Ritz was really cool to go back and kind of dissect it. I appreciate that they did that. And that was my thing. Everyone was asking me, how's it feel? And my thing after the performance was, and I asked my friends who really know, I said, hey, the only question I have is, does it feel like we belong up there? Like, do we feel like we fit
Yeah,
in with the other bands that were playing today? And everyone was like, dude, 100%, like you guys belong there. And so that's all that mattered to me.
yeah, we absolutely did 100%.
Yeah.
And not just because I'm in the band,
Yeah.
but like for real, like I honestly like outside looking in, it's like there's some. I mean, we've all heard in our times have heard bands, and then on like lineups, and you're just like, okay, interesting,
Yeah.
you know. they know somebody, but
Yeah.
it's to I mean, because there was a lot of work put
Yeah.
in the camp, in Renee's camp, and
Yeah.
all the hard work. And I mean, I spoke with her, and dude, she endured so much and went through a
Yeah.
lot and
Yeah.
played all and to be there. And it's like, yeah, we she absolutely deserves it, and we all
Yeah.
do as a band as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
100%,
It was super
hundred
great. I
percent.
was super grateful to watch, it's kind of a big brother, just to see the journey and to, watch. Obviously, then she got engaged, which was epic, right? So it was like,
Yeah,
man,
dude, oh,
I
I
felt
missed
like,
that by like
man, what a
6 months.
day. We were all, yeah, I know we were together. We walked up like, oh shoot. But I mean, what an amazing weekend. And now it's just about building from there. I know there's going to be some cool interviews and cool content dropping, but and as much as we celebrate and embrace that moment, like that's not it. Now it's time to take it to that next level and to get better. And the bands the bands that are still going 10, 20, 25 years later, like Expendables and Revolution and now Stick Figure, they've been at it now for decades. And the reason why they survive is because they continue to get better. They
Oh,
continue to
the shit don't
master their
stop.
craft. Exactly. And they don't live off of one song or one album. They continually, every couple of years, they're putting out new stuff. They're getting better. I do Stick Figures production on Saturday was like mind blowing. A part of it was the festival because they have the huge budget because they're Golden Voice now, but it was like, dude, this is not the same band that I remember from a few years ago. And the music has always been awesome, but the production is just a whole other level. So I can't wait for us to be able to add some video and lights and smoke and mirrors too, because it just makes it cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, I that is that's like half of a show is, besides getting together, writing, rehearsing, and playing a show is, you eventually want to captivate the people in another way because, let's face it, tickets are not cheap, dude.
Right. Right.
And for the price we pay, we're expecting, okay, maybe someone's gonna go out there, do a backflip and land on his neck or something. Like you like, or maybe someone's gonna get caught on fire or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I volunteer
But
Connor.
like,
I don't think I could do it.
yeah, but so when you have good lighting and it's synced up with the music, and then you
Yep.
get a anything even as much as a
Lasers, man. Freaking lasers.
smoke machine and lasers, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's
People
do it.
love that. And when you're stoned, oh, forget about
Yeah.
it, dude.
Next level for
Yeah,
sure.
but I think with Estrella, it's only destined. But playing California Roots this year
Yeah.
was a start to a long journey.
Yeah. I think that's the feeling. It's the gratitude, the satisfaction, um, of reaching a goal and the appreciation for everyone involved, but
Hmm.
also the like, okay, we did that. What's next? And not a dismissive way, but in a like hungry, like in a positive way, like, okay, I know we have more potential. Let's keep it, let's continue, let's not settle here, and let's continue to build on this. And we feel that momentum collectively.
Yeah. Hmm. No, we do it so well, man. And like, playing with Connor, he's so good on the keys, and he's played with like Fiji. He plays with
Anohea,
Anu,
Ellie
all
Mack.
these
Yeah.
heavy island
Yep.
reggae, all these heavy hitters, dude. And
Yep.
with Bruno, with Santa Cruda, Soul
Bruno's the only
Wise,
busier
and
guy than you.
Bruno, yeah, and Bruno, he grinds, man. He's a hustler,
Yes,
and
he is.
he knows his shit,
Yep.
and I love that about him. And I mean, this guy could put together a song out of toothpicks, dude.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good.
He's
He's
good. He
really
is
good.
good. Yes, he is
And with
for
you
sure.
and Cam, yeah, I know you guys are brothers, and to play music together is honestly beautiful. I wish
Yeah.
one of my brothers played guitar or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
but
It's pretty cool. Well, we got to have that
you guys
moment
made it
too.
look so simple and so effortless, dude. And
Thanks,
I don't.
man.
You guys are great. And
We got to have that moment too because obviously we've been with Renee for 15 years
years,
or so, which has
yeah,
been great. But with Cam, it's been 35, right? And so we've been doing music probably close to 30, and we're not even that. I mean, we're getting there now, but that was a cool thing because no one understands more than him what I've been through, and vice versa, right? And so for us to just like have that moment of like we're wearing the artist badge this time, like,
yeah,
and it's not because someone gave it to us, it's because we're the artists. And that was pretty cool. I gotta admit. And so and once you taste it, it's like you want more, right? And so I'm excited to definitely see where this goes. And no matter how far it goes, we're going to have the memories we've already made. And I know that whatever happens next, as far as who comes and goes from the team, or which opportunities present themselves, we just continue to put our best foot forward, and do it with good intentions and hard work. I mean, it's always going to work out for the best in the long run. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But we could go on, I know, for hours and hours, and we do
Oh,
sometimes in
buddy.
practice. Where can people find you if they want to follow your journey or learn more about you?
If they want to find me and follow my journey, I'll be at Alvarado on Friday, Alvarado Street Brewery. No, I'm kidding.
We could
My
buy you a pint, right?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'll be there. No, it's Instagram. I use at AJ the Bro, just one word, AJ the Bro. I'm sure it'll be in the description somewhere.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's all I use because nowadays the means of communication is that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's Instagram. I just started uploading. Not, I mean, not recently, but I'm going to start uploading, I should say, some videos of me playing drums because there's not a lot on my page.
Well, bro, I'm happy to help you with your personal brand, because you are badass, and
Thank you, man.
more people need to see your shit. Like, and not just here and there at a live show. I think if you created content, and I'm happy to help you for free because I believe in you that much. If people could see what you got, and you just, I don't know, just play along to some songs and stream it on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, I think people would really respond to
That would be great, man. Yeah, we got to get something figured
that.
out on that end, but I'd love it. Yeah, and follow my band. I'm in the Rudians. It's at the Rudians. Maybe that'll be in the description as well. And it's Instagram, Facebook. I think they have a YouTube channel. I'm not too sure. I know, right? I got to get on it. And
Yeah.
at Estrella Music because I'm
831. Estrella
Estrella
Music
Music
831. Yep,
831
yep, yep,
because I'm hitting it hard with you guys too, and
yep.
I think that's it, man. Yeah. Otherwise, every other Friday I'm at the tap room in off Abbott. So
Awesome. Well, for our friends in Northern California, and it's worth the drive for our local friends, Ukiah, July 13th, opening for Big Mountain, taking over all of downtown Ukiah. That's going to be awesome. And then a local show in Santa Cruz, September, at the end of September sometime, we're going to be opening
25th,
again.
I think.
25th, yeah, for Big Mountain at Mose Alley, and then there'll be some other shows announced soon. So we're excited to get on the road a little bit and play some new music and play some covers, and continue this journey. And I'm glad to have had this conversation with you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jordan. Love you, man. Love you
All right, brother.
all who are watching, and my friends are probably gonna take screenshots of some faces I've made.
Well, it's
And
that luscious hair, bro. I didn't know you were going to come in like all Pantene Pro V,
well, you know
Troy
what happened was
Polamalu action.
I had my hair up. I went on a run earlier, and I usually shower after the run, but I just hopped on Xbox, played, and I was like, I should probably. We ate dinner. My lady and I ate dinner, and I was like, okay, I probably should get in the shower. I was thinking about it, and then it was 8, and I got your text, and I was like, oh shit! So I had to undo my hair, brush it, I threw some water in it, but it didn't come out bad. I actually
Looks
like it.
good. Looks good. Well,
I've been using a detangler,
yeah,
so
looks
it's
good.
been it's
I could
been
I could never have hair that long, but it makes you more of a rock star. So anyway,
no.
I know you work in the educational field by day, and you rock a lot of stages by night. So I'm grateful to be your friend, and work together with you in music,
Oh
and
man, I'm.
excited for a fun summer and fall, man.
I mean, I thank you, Jordan, and you deserve your flowers too, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, to work your work. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people already know your type of work, but it's not easy either. It's a lot of mental strain and a lot of
Yeah.
time, a lot of shaking hands and getting home late, and
Yep.
it's you make it happen too, man. We
Thanks, man.
all we all get there. We all get to practice on not on
Yep.
time, but we all get there
Close enough.
close enough. We get there, we make it work, man, and we
Yeah.
we rock it out. So thank you
Well,
too
we're
for
like we're like the Avengers, man. We're assembling. We're all heroes in our own little worlds, but we come together for the greater good. And
man, we all feel like crying on the inside. We're so
yeah.
tired, but we're still there. That's what matters.
Well, the people need the music, man, and we got to give it to them, especially the drums and the bass. So I appreciate getting to play with you, and I'm excited to see what's next, man. Have a good one. We'll talk soon.
Love you too,
All
brother.
right,
See
take
ya,
care,
man.
man. Love you. All right,
Later.
later.